This is TWiT.
Yes?
A group of investors put out a letter.
I thought this was really strange.
I thought it was unique. It was something I hadn't heard before. Strange. I thought it was great. Put your money where your morals are. I guess morals is kind of a strong word, but it was think differently about kids, and they challenged Apple.
They're Apple shareholders.
Yeah, they're Apple
activist investors. Two different groups. One's called Jane. We've heard of them before. And the other is the California Teachers Retirement Fund, CalSTRS. And teachers should care about this.
Yes.
What did they say?
They said that Apple needed to do better about letting parents control their kids' devices, sort of do better. I mean, basically, one of the things they said, like, the devices shouldn't be so appealing to kids because kids will use them all the time. And so I don't agree with that Apple should make their devices less appealing. But they said that iPhones and children are a toxic pair and Apple needs to get ahead of this. Basically, they said, you know, it's a bottom line issue that this could turn out like, you know, the tobacco industry. Why did we hand over these iPhones to kids without, you know, doing anything about it? And it would be bad for Apple for their bottom line financially.
They're quite reasonably concerned that Apple's going to get sued down the road by parents whose kids have become functional idiots.
So, you know, we talk about this all the time. I struggle with it every day, and I don't. My only, my best parental control I have is taking all of their devices and parking them inside our bedroom at night.
I saw your charging station. I love that.
Well, it's a mess. It needs, like, I was shopping at Target. I just want something that fits the 5 iPads and the 5 iPhones, and I want them to be put away. And, you know, you do it in a drawer. Like, I think that's maybe what I'm looking at. Padre and I are going to do something on know-how.
So what I did for my dresser is you know, just a regular dresser where you have a drawer. Most dressers, there's enough clearance behind the drawers that you could run wires up. And so what I did is I drilled holes, not in the back of the dresser, would it be ugly, but in the back of the drawer. So that you can run a wire up the back of the dresser into the drawer, and then all the chargers are there. You need a way to lock them down, you know, so that they don't move around. But you don't want to lock them down so that they get pulled. So you kind of have something. I use a little one of those, you know what do they call those 6x6 milling examples, the bricks. Anyway, I have a little heavy, it's heavy but not locked down, and I run the wires through that, and then it's sitting in the drawer. So yeah, it's hidden. And do you use it? Is it functional? Yeah, it's totally functional. And that's what you charge in? Well, I do it for two reasons. Mostly because it gets them out of the way, but also because of the lights. Yeah. And we all know any light in the bedroom is probably a bad thing. So. Right. Plus, it tempts me. I see the blinking, and I go, I want to see. What is that? What is that notification? But we digress. So Apple is doing new parental controls, and I think this is what really Jane and CalSTRS wanted was Apple consider this and put better parental controls. And in fact, they are. I don't know if it's in response to this. Yeah, today they put out something that said that they were they heard and they're working on it. So great. Apple has always looked out for kids. And we work hard to create powerful products, blah, blah, blah. We lead the industry, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. With today's iOS devices, they pointed out, parents have ability to control, restrict content through apps, movies, websites, songs, and books. But, and they started doing that in 2008, but they plan to do even more. Okay, so about the parental controls, I think a good example of what Apple has already done in this vein is the Do Not Disturb while driving. I think that's huge. And that's works a new one. Great. You can use it. I do it. You cannot use it. Like, you don't have to. No one's forcing you to. No, Apple's not forcing you to. And you can even say, "I'm not driving." Let me. Right. So if you're in the passenger seat, you can still use your phone. But I turn that on. I love it. It has changed the way, because I was definitely a stoplight sneaky texter, and I'm not anymore. And one of the things you can have it do, which I do, is send a message out saying, "I'm driving right now." Right. I can't see your text, but I will respond later. I don't do that. I did that for a while, and then I felt like it was rude. And also, like, people can wait. I don't like this idea of, like, you need, I mean, maybe if you have a job where you need to respond to text messages all the time, but I don't. Like, people can wait to hear back from me. I kind of mix. I do have it. Go send that out. You can also just send it to certain people, or just to your favorites, or just to people in your contacts. Or people you don't like. Yeah, exactly. You just have it sent to them all the time. Next time you see that time I see that from you, I'm going to think,
So I think that's a very elegant solution to what was a huge problem. I think it's probably saved lives already.
Yeah.
And I think that Apple could do something like that with some sort of timing. I've told you guys about different services that I've used. Nothing works. I know you have a lot of success with Eero, and I'm working on one of our sponsors. I'm working on that, but I have just like little problems. Like we have dual band modem and the Eero, and so I can turn off the Eero, but then the kids can see the Sonic modem, and so I know that's just a technical thing.
Oh, I can help you with that. You disable the Wi-Fi on the Sonic modem. That's all. They shouldn't. You don't want both of them doing that,
right?
So Sonic has its modem router.
Okay,
and you just turn off the Wi-Fi on that. Then they can't see it. There's a bigger problem though. So, we've always got LTE access.
I have really bad.
I don't know how to prevent that.
Yeah, I have bad cell service in my
Bad
house.
Cell service is a very good thing.
That's what my dad's like. Why don't you switch away from Sprint and get better cell service? I'm like, it's fine.
Good.
I don't need it. But I think they can do something. But it is tricky. It is very tricky because it depends on your kid's age. It depends on your kid's behavior. I mean, there's so many different factors, and there's just the idea that nobody wants to. I don't know. And just the bottom line is, it's a lot easier just to ignore the problem.
NTSB says that 6,000 people died last year of distracted driving.
Right, but I was talking about, but kids using
it at night.
Yeah,
I think though there's a little hypocrisy here because they see us glued to our phone all the time.
And go ahead. But I think that our brains are developed. That's the difference. Like if you're talking about an undeveloped brain, a kid who is, we've never seen it. We haven't seen what it will do. I mean, we've seen a little bit the Gene 20
think it's going to mold the brain into the future. This is how their life is going to be. Might as well get used to it now. They're going to have the immunity built up.
Well,
imagine though if a kid never had access to this stuff, and then at 18 goes out into the real world, wow, this is awesome, and never goes to bed again. I think there's something to be said for, we've had this, we used to have this debate at the high school where they block everything. I said, first of all, they can get around it. So you're just teaching them how to get around it. Second, you're not teaching them how to deal with it. Yes, you see?
That
was exactly their reaction.
Well, that is the thing. Like, my kids are 12 and 14, and I would love for them just, 6 years, they'll be out of the house. They'll be on their own. Nobody telling them they get, only an hour and a half of screen time. No one telling them stop playing Minecraft. You got to do your homework. That's going to be over.
We've had this discussion before over alcohol.
Yes.
And there's a school of thought that says, well, in France and Italy, they let the kids drink a little diluted wine with dinner, that alcohol is not treated as this secret adult-only ritual. And they claim, and I don't know what the real numbers are, and I'm not claiming this. I'm just saying this is what some people say, that there's less alcoholism as a result, that kids are exposed to it at a younger age. They don't think of it as something magical and special and grown up, and as a result, they're less likely to drink heavily as they get older. I'm worried that it might be similar to that with the smartphones, that it becomes the forbidden fruit that then, as soon as they get out of your control, they go crazy with. So I always think it's best, if you can, to expose them to stuff and teach them how to use it than it is to just say, no, no, no. I know, there's another example is candy. I do know a kid who was never allowed anything with sugar, and sugar is poison. We all know that. It really is. There's no longer any question that you're giving your kid rat poison. But this kid was never allowed sugar, and of course ate candy like a demon anytime it was at somebody's house, never learned how to control it. So I think in some ways it's better to say, well, okay, there's ice cream in the freezer. Let's teach you how not to eat it every time. Right?
Yes. Yeah. And I think there are third-party services that do that. There's a service called Unglue that I've been trying.
Unglue?
Unglue. And we met him at PepCon.
But I think an outside service is not going to be as good as
it's hard
them
to set
learning
up.
The internal.
Right, but that's what he has kids, and he really wants, his idea is to teach them. So it's like warnings. It's like, hey, you've been on your iPhone for 45 minutes. Like, you're going to have 10 more minutes left. So like that sort of thing. But
kind of help them.
Yeah.
Just alert awareness.
I need that too.
Yeah.
Like I set timers on my Apple Watch. Like, oh, whoa, and I still have problems. Like I still spend too much time.
This is where the iPhone has a little disadvantage over Android. I use a program called Instant that can monitor all the apps, tell you how long you've spent, which apps you spent time with, warn you and things like that on my Android device. But there isn't really anything quite like that on the iPhone because Apple doesn't let third parties, get the access to that information. This is why I taught my kids to smoke when they were 8 because I feel like, no, I didn't. I mean, you can take it too far, right? I
do think that alcohol is a good example. Like I do feel like I lock up the kids' devices after 10 p.m. like I lock the liquor cabinet. It's the same thing because nothing good happens after 10 p.m. Online or in the liquor cabinet. But that's just me.